Thank you to Mr. Dodaro and to your team for testifying today. I look forward to today's discussion on how Congress and federal agencies can act on the recommendations made in this year's report to be better stewards of taxpayer dollars. And I'll now recognize Ranking Member Paul for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for holding this hearing, and thanks to our witness, Comptroller General Dodaro, for joining us. One thing I always hear from taxpayers is frustration with government waste. Despite Americans' desire for less waste, little around here gets done to fix the problem. To its credit, GAO has made great strides identifying areas for us to work on. I'm pleased that Senator Hassan shares my commitment to solving the problem, but not everybody in Congress shares our zeal. Often Congress creates waste by wanting to look like we are doing something. I call this the big heart, small brain syndrome around here. Everybody wants to show they care, but nobody wants to think about, well, did we already have a program that showed we cared 2 years ago that isn't working? Part of the problem is also that we reauthorize the spending so infrequently. So we have whole committees and whole areas that go on sometimes for decades. No one ever examines whether they're working, whether we're duplicating them, or whether or not we should change anything, because nobody ever reauthorizes them. It's a terrible deficiency of government, but it goes on year after year. We've seen recently some of the problems, even in the recent stimulus bill. It included a new community outreach program in the Small Business Committee's jurisdiction, where I'm the ranking member, but it simply just copied an already existing program. We have to do better, and I hope this hearing will help us in Congress realize what Americans intuitively know. There are times where government waste occurs because government agencies can't coordinate. For years, the FDA and the USDA have been competing over the regulation of different types of food. Ultimately, they've arrived at some strange decisions. For example, for products containing poultry, the FDA regulates items with 2% cooked poultry meat, while the rest are regulated by the USDA. This is so arcane, I don't think anyone alive knows why the FDA has certain poultry products and the USDA has the rest, but it doesn't make any sense. Imagine the cost, though, not only to the taxpayer, but to American businesses of figuring out which agency's regulation apply to poultry. And now the USDA and FDA are locking horns again, this time over meat grown in a lab that isn't even on the market yet. But other items, overlapping programs create waste directly. For years, we've known that the federal government's IT programs need improvement, and 2 years ago, OMB directed agencies to streamline their contracting, but they didn't. Instead, GAO found 5 of 7 agencies had not used the strategies both GAO and OMB directed them to use to limit waste. So we're still wasting millions of dollars each year on IT contracts. This is just 2 of the many examples of duplication, fragmentation, and overlap causing billions of waste and money. But it does not need to be this way. Chair Hassan and I have co-sponsored a bill, the Duplication Scoring Act, to help fix these sorts of problems. It would have GAO note ways proposed legislation would create waste and flag it for CBO to include in its scores. Our bill will help Congress make better decisions and save taxpayers billions. I'm pleased we have passed this bill in committee, and I'm hopeful it will pass the Senate and be signed into law this Congress. I'm interested to learn more about where the federal government has made progress from earlier duplication reports, where we continue to fail, and how the Duplication Scoring Act will help us to improve Congress's performance when it comes to wasteful spending. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Paul. It is the practice of the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee to swear in witnesses. So